Dear colleagues, I'm very glad to see you at our today's open lecture, or as we call it, interactive workshop. We will talk today about how to deal with difficult questions, how to present. Before we start, I would like to thank our informational partner, WorkUA, for always supporting us. Today's open lecture we should have in spring, but still, I'm very glad that we have it today. I would like to pay your attention that today's open lecture is without translation. It will be in English. You will have a possibility to put your questions in the chat, and Yulia will answer them. And as well, in the end, you will have a possibility to ask your questions by voice, so that you may not interrupt Yulia. And for now, I'm very glad to present you our today's speaker, Dr. Yulia Staltovna, adjunct faculty at International Management School, honorary lecturer at Fresenius Business School and University of Europe, Berlin. Please, Yulia, the floor is yours.
Lovely. It's my pleasure to be invited here, to be here with you today. And I'm really glad to be helpful today to those who came to answer the questions. How can I improve my answering questions in this case? So I will be using today the AHA Slides tool. So in order to present myself, I would want you to come and join. So in your browser or in your mobile phone, what you can do is you can use the QR code to get to our session today. So, or you can go to ahaslides.com, and on the top of the this, you will see ahaslides.com, and you will see here enter code. So if you could enter there a code Yulia for EBA, that would be a lovely way to start. So I can see 7 people joined already. I will be showing the QR code for a couple of more seconds before I start presenting what's inside. So I can also share the link to our chat here to everyone. Feel free to put this. So I can see 11 people joined. While you're joining, let me tell you a couple of words about myself. So as you can see, this is my LinkedIn, and when you join AHA Slides, just like 12 people already did, you can see that this is an interactive tool, and you can be using this to click on the links, for example, or to answer your own ideas, your own phrases, your own situations, so that we could use this as the material for our talk today. I want to incorporate your knowledge, your expertise, and your willingness to build something together. So I can see 14 people joined already out of 42 participants at the moment. If you need a QR code for a couple of more seconds, please do this, because we will be working in this tool all the lecture long. So I would be really happy to see you there. If I can also ask Irina to send the link again to the audience, to the chat, that would be lovely. So I will be continuing. So I'm teaching, lecturing, facilitating through the topics of the cross-cultural leadership, international people management, HR, diversity, communication, contemporary leadership topics, a lot of the social skills, right? Such things as presentations, negotiations, executive negotiations, executive presentations, and so on. So you can see that this is a brief overview of my path to where I am right now. So I come from Dnipro, really proud of this, and I spent my first 30 years there. And then I was invited to join the faculty in Kyiv. As you can see, I worked for Boris Grinchenko Kyiv University for 3-4 years. And then after the relocation to Berlin, I've been collaborating with the business schools here. So you can see that the list of the topic is quite broad, from intercultural competence to self-time management consulting, HR, diversity, as I said, soft skills, and so on. So I also teach not only the bachelor students and master students, but I also consult the companies who need to strengthen their communication skills as well. So let's get acquainted. So tell me, please, what's your role in your company? What brought you here? I would be happy to see who's in the room and to get to know you a little bit more. So as 25 people joined, what you can see right now in your screen. Yeah, so I can see some people already typed their role, their position, so that we could try to understand which level of business structure do you have, so that we could try to shape my phrases, my ideas that I will be sharing in the second part of the workshop, so that they are here for you. So we can see that we have team leaders, we have legal counsel, we have legal managers, auditor assistants, general managers, customs department managers, recruiters, right, quality managers, and so on. For those who are just joining, you can see on the top here, we are working in the AHA Slides tool. So if you could go to AHA Slides and put there Julia for EBA, or you can as well just use the QR code to join our interactive session today. Yeah. Okay, so employer branding specialists, finance managers, communication managers, right? Communication manager, okay, Anna, Svetlana. Okay, business analyst, underwriter, fantastic, legal managers. So you see that today, thanks to EBA, we are in the circle of people with huge load of expertise, huge load of understanding how to present. And this is specifically important because I would want you to use your knowledge to sum up all the ideas to share, because we can learn best one with another instead of, from somebody, saying something. We have a very expertise-based room here. So, 25 people joined, 18 answered. So you can see this is our tag map of those people who are here with us today. So I have the next question to you. What kind of presentations do you make most often? So tell me, what is it? Is it report presenting? Is this presentation? Is this sales pitch? Is it I don't know, the quarters report or analysis? Do you create new ideas and present them? Do you present yourself when you're talking? Do you represent the company on a fair, on a sales meetings, on a forum, and so on? So tell me, what kind of presentations do you make most often? Again, so that we calibrate today's workshop roadmap, right? So presenting a roadmap. So most probably this is for the product management, for the product owners, is one of the key ideas to present, but also to defend what the idea is. Of course, presenting on at the conferences. At conferences, again, we have a very interesting way of communicating, because In most cases, this is a very friendly and non-hostile situation, so that it is, just praising. In most cases, sometimes not, of course, but when we're doing the conference presentation, we do have this Q&A, and we never know who is in the room, especially with the online conferences, forums, and so on. Sometimes questions can be really unexpected. Status reporting. Yeah, so as for status reporting, you would be reporting, presenting this, and then you would be having the questions that you really need to deal with. So I can see that the drive, what brought you here. Sales pitches. Again, you are under the examination, you are trying to present, to bring the product, right, to write to the person who is a prospect buyer, maybe. A review, results of the department, sales pitches, internal training. Yes, for the trainers, facilitators, for those who are lecturing, teaching, this is a common part of our life, and we normally invite more questions so that we're normally prepared to the questions. We want more questions than they are in the room, and that might be as well an interesting way to do the Q&A. So present a product, workshops, right? What else? What else is here? Anything else in the chat? So I can see 23 people joined. Slides and answer. We have much more people in the room, so please come join us. You can join us at any moment in our interactive part. So I'm just copying the link that you can just
Julia, maybe you
join
can show QR code again.
Yes, I can share the QR code again for sure.
Yeah, great, thank you. It is very easy. You can put your telephone and it's very easy, really, because I did the same. For a few seconds, you'll be at a hot slide. Please join. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, more people are joining. You're right. Okay. Do you need a couple of more seconds to show this?
Maybe it's enough. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I can see more people are joining in, and most probably will be sharing your types of the presentations. Okay, facilitating sessions. Facilitators have special training how to answer the questions, how to, which techniques to use, and which strategies, techniques, and verbalizations of those techniques to use. So I would say that teachers, facilitators are more prepared to do this. However, again, if you had a very strong communication or business communication course, or you are having it right now, or you want to plan it, that would be something that you could boast of as a part of this. Educational presentations, right, as well. Lovely. See how much expertise we have in a room. Happy to be here for you. So let's move on a little bit. So I have a case for you. Try to think of a situation when you're asked to present your topic, your own topic that you're good at, your topic on Monday at 9 a.m. Which questions would come to your head immediately? What do you what do you sit and answer? Okay, what do I need to know in order to give a presentation first thing in the morning on Monday? Please share your ideas. Please share this from your mobile phones, from your QR code. I will be showing this again for you to join in while you're typing. so that you could share your ideas. So you have a task. Now we need to know how to do this best. So you can see that first answers are coming in. What value can I give to the team? Who's the target audience? Will my presentation be interesting for people? Right. Do I have proper data? What's the venue? Right. If the info is actual and precise. Exactly, because that would make all the presentation actual. That would make all the presentation on time, timely. That will make the presentation interesting because you can bring something that is cutting edge. Do I believe I can do it? That's a good question. Will be anyone who helped me? This is a very powerful one. When you know that you are ready to ask for help, you're in a much higher level of skills of whatever you're doing. So this is an important thing. Who can help, who can share, who can bring in the most. The target audience, purpose of presentation, time frame. Yeah, so they are the common questions that we need to answer so that the presentation is best crafted, best aligned, so that you're not wasting your time if something goes wrong. So that's exactly why I asked you in the beginning of this workshop, what's your position in the company? What's the type of the presentations that you give? Because I want to make sure that you will be having the crafted actual ways to do this. How to combine info. This is a next level of the complexity, I would say, right? In the case that you're trying already to formulate the data in the best way for the audience, right? How do you combine when you have a lot of data, maybe when you have a number of slides, or when you have tables or pie charts or whatever, how to visualize this as well, maybe. So this is a very important questions here. What do the audience want to hear? What do they need? Who's the audience? So we have here the whole block of the questions about the audience. Okay, what's my goal? That's an important one. What message would I like to deliver? So as you can see, we have 19 answers here, which go mostly about the audience, right? Audience, audience, audience. Then we have the time, message, goal, value, purpose, time frame, right, as well. Time frame, the mode, either it is hybrid, online, offline, or any combination of that. Would that be use or MS Teams or whichever type of it, how to integrate different audiences, which media resources, PPT, venue, again, microphones, you know, all those times to get into the room if this is offline, exactly so. So we have this case. So I can try to make this a little summary of your answers, right? So the first question is what exactly to present, right? So if you answer this question, normally if, for example, your manager or director or CEO asks you to present Monday 9 a.m., you say, oh, I need more details, right? So tell me what exactly do you want me to present? What's the details, what present, what not to present is another important thing, right? And then you say, okay, so what do I choose from which perspective and so on? So you're trying to formulate the format. So what exactly to present again, who to your partners, to your process, you would be having very different format. So either it is 5-minute presentation, 15, 45, 1 hour, whatever it is, you would be thinking about, so how much information would be enough and not too much, and how to combine this this information together. The second question would be something that you heavily answered already in the previous part, so the audience, because the very same situation, the very same case, your pitch, your company, your startup, your report can be presented to different people and should be presented to different people in a different way. So this is exactly why you most probably have your presentation, and then you try to see, okay, which slides do I need? Which slides, how do I structure them? Where do I need more interaction? Where do I need more engagement? What this audience wants to hear. So if you're pitching your report to the board of directors, to your, I don't know, other stakeholders, you would be having different things to focus on. The next thing, what are you presenting for? What kind of action do you want? Because there are different types of the presentation, right? So we have a presentation, an informative one, when you just give the information where you are, as you said, status report, when you have the, I don't know, Q1, Q2 report, and so on. So you're just informing people. So basically you can check by the end of the presentation, did you reach your goal, right? So are the people informed? So this is something that you can test in the end. So how much information did they receive and how much information was lost, right? So that would be maybe a your own return on investments on the presentation. Then you have the informative, and then you can have the demonstrative presentation. When you try to demonstrate how something works, how your company works, how your department works, the roadmap you're presenting, you're showing how your planning process works and so on. So these two types of presentations do not require an action. So they are one way, right? The sender to receiver type of presentation. So therefore, this is something very different from the most presentation in business when you require action. And in action-based presentation, it is very easy to, well, much easier than in two previous types, to understand your ROI, right? So if you want to pitch your idea, so how many people buy it, how many people vote, how many do something. So here, this is something that I would also try to prepare for yourself before you start presenting, is what kind of the outcome, not only value, right, but also outcome would you want people to do, would you want people to act upon. This is how you could try not to forget that if you know which type of presentation you're presenting, you would be expecting different response. What else? What you're going to present, right? How you're going to present. So are you going to present using visual data, visualization? Are you going to present using storytelling techniques? Are you going to present, I don't know, standing in front of a big forum, or during the training, or during the team meeting? So what is going to be your how-to, right? Your tactics, your strategy, how you're going to present the things. And here you would be having a very specific way that the very same presentation that you can prepare on Monday, 9 a.m. would have the success rate depending on all of those things, right? Format, audience, action, but you can bring how exactly you are going to do this, you would be having this success rate. So now I have a question to you. What did you miss? Can you write in your chat box right now? So we talked about format, okay. You know what exactly, you know how much information, you know who to, you have the list of the audience, you know them, you already did this job, you know what to expect, and you've got your storytelling techniques, presentation, pace, voice, everything. What did you miss? why you're presenting, right? So this is the goal, the success, right? What else? In your chat box now, tell me please, what do you think? What is missing from these 4 pillars of the preparation to a presentation? So I can see 80 participants right now are here, and I will be showing you the QR code so that you could join in our interactive part, because I will need more of your answers later on. Benefit for the audience and for me, okay. Any more answers? So those people who joined us later on, we are working in an interactive environment, which is called ahaslides.com. And you can put the password Julia for EBA there if you want to join us and to write your answers into this. Meanwhile, what do I expect from the presentation? Yes, expectation management is always the big thing, right? So first of all, what do you expect as an outcome, right? But also, what do you expect as an environment or as a move forward? Again, when we're doing the expectation management, what does your manager, director expect? What does the audience expect? So this is very big part of it. What else? What else did we miss? Is audience ready? This is a good one. This is a very good one, because depending whether or not they are ready, they would be engaged or would be less engaged, right? So we said about the format, the audience, the action, and the success. So when you are preparing, what else should be there? What else we should think about before we start the presentation? Before we start preparing for the presentation, rather. So if we can probably move forward with this. I have seen in your answers 2, 3, 4 ideas which can be related to what I'm ready to tell you in a minute. Time frame, yeah, time frame would be a part of the format. Okay, so right now in this case, what is missing is you. And this is a very powerful thing that can make your presentation go beyond any other thing. So if you start thinking about yourself before you start preparing for the presentation, you can solve a number of problems during the presentation and specifically after the presentation. So let me tell you what I mean by this. First of all, we're talking about the human-centric leadership. More and more these days, you can see that this is getting into our culture, into business, into everything. So we talked about authentic leadership, we talked about servant leadership. Now we're talking about human-centric leadership. Maybe it is time to talk about human-centered presentations. And I think earlier in the year, Dzvenislava Novakivska interviewed, we had a discussion rather, which you can find online, on the human-centered presentation. And what we meant by this, and what we come up with these ideas, is that when you answer the question, why you are presenting this exact presentation on Monday 9 a.m., you will give yourself a whole lot of another energy. You will give yourself a reason why you are presenting. Not Alex, not Anna, not Katerina, not the other manager, not the other trainer, not the other person. You give yourself your inner empowerment, because your manager or director, whoever it asked you to present, gives you this empowerment. The question is, if we take this empowerment, if we hush ourselves or if we support ourselves. And in this case, you would be thinking of, according by Daniel Goleman, self-awareness and self-management. And this is a huge part of the presentation, because you need to self-manage, self-control yourself during the presentation and during the Q&A, which is the head of our topic today. But when you empower yourself, knowing why you are presenting this, you are much readier to deal with this challenge and also to deal with the questions. Then you are, when you sincerely answer yourself this question, you are readier, you're in power to answer those questions. So either you're a trainer or a facilitator or a presenter at the conference, as you said. This is an important thing when you apply for this, when you sign up, when you offer your course or facilitation or whatever it is, you are empowering yourself. But the very same thing when you're presenting a roadmap, a report, a business presentation, pitch, sales pitch, when you think why you are presenting to this specific audience, this is a very important thing. The second thing is why your skills. This is the answer. Can I do this? Can I present? Can I answer those questions? So if you answer this question before you start preparing for the presentation, that will give you much confidence. That will give you, okay, I'm going to present because I'm empowered to do this and because I can do this. So skills is everything about a part of the competence, right? So how to do something. And in this case, knowing that, oh, I will be presenting because people know that I can, I know that I can, I have the confidence there. The third question, what are your unique selling point? What makes this presentation do not go without you? What makes this presentation to be the background of what you are going to say, of what you are going to answer, what you are going to present? That will give you advantage. That will give you advantage to shine, but also a humility to understand this while you're doing. So this will take away the egoistic part, the showing off, because this will come down your dopamine levels, because you know this advantage, and this will normally give you calmness, wisdom, security, but also the drive, something that you will be enjoying your presentation. You will be enjoying dealing with those. You will be seeing this as a unique opportunity to show your skills, being empowered to do this. So as you can see, those things refer to the whole presentation, but also to the Q&A part. That's why I'm starting with them even before we go to this Q&A part practice. There is one more question. What you have invested already? What are the sunk costs of you presenting 9 a.m. on Monday? You have been learning at the university. You've got your career. You've got your steps forward. You want this place. You want this job interview. You've got the life learning attitude. You are here in this presentation at 11 o'clock of your working time. So this is already the sunk costs, which we normally tend psychologically to minimize if we do not have enough confidence. That means that it rises again from the word skills. that if you are sure you can do, for example, Q&A, then you will be investing more into making it better. And that means you will be improving your expertise. So basically, what I want to sum up with this slide is that just as much as the format, audience, and the formal part of the presentation itself, the slides, the visualization, the data, and so on. So when you are getting prepared, this all can be done by a number of people. Maybe somebody from your team, maybe you're doing this with the team, right? Maybe you're doing this within the whole department of yours. But if you start doing this without understanding why your skills, what's your unique selling point, and what you have invested already, then you forgot yourself in this presentation. Then if you are hiding yourself, ignoring yourself, or minimizing, devaluating yourself, that will be increasingly difficult to answer Q&A questions. Because you can present what is the group preparation, right? What is the outcome of, a group work? But then when you are one-to-one with the audience, there is nobody to hide behind. And therefore, when we come to this point, we need to be prepared, confident, empowered, having the advantage on this, and have enough expertise. So this is something that I wanted to highlight for the first part of our workshop. And the second part of the workshop, I will want you to think about what makes a high quality presentation. So those people who joined us, could you please submit, apart from everything we have just said, what makes a presentation not an average one? Not just an okay presentation, not just the next presentation. If you have the panel of the presenters all the day long or all the months long, how can you say that that was a high quality presentation? That was just an average, okay, good enough. So what makes the presentation better than good enough? Charisma. Where charisma comes from, right? So this all comes from you, from the person, from the presenter. Emotional connection, again. So when you're telling a story, when you're talking about the pains, when you're talking about gains, you're making a connection with people. Visualization, of course, as well. You can have, I'm sure you've seen hundreds of boring, text-based presentations, and how much more forward for the next, several years have the presentation tools evolved. And now this is already a question whether you're using the better tools or you're ignoring that they exist. Personality, presenter, a bit of humor, yeah, no way out of the humor. Personal skills, interesting, easy to understand data, right? Presentation short enough, right? Keep to the point, and ability to keep the audience. Interaction, experience, time frame. I'm reading from the chat. So what I want to do is, let's try to think, let's vote. So you have the idea. So out of all of this, what would be the top 3? So can you vote out of those ideas? So what, from your perspective, would be not an average, but high quality presentation? So you have an opportunity to choose as a group of specialists, managers, businessmen, businesswomen, to try to understand, okay, so what makes a high quality presentation in that? So we have 30 people who joined, right? So I keep on showing my QR code for those who want to join, or you can just simply go to the platform and just put the code on top of that. And yeah, so we have 44 votes at the moment. Let's see. So I'll give you 30 more seconds before we see the result. Why this is important? Because this brings your own expectation. This brings something that you actually value, and those things that you think might be less important. So in this case, when you're writing this for yourself, or for example, when somebody is presenting in your department in your company, you would be evaluating this presentation according to your own expectations, but also according to your own skills. So that means that if you are good with visualization, you most probably will be seeing other presentations as high quality if they're using it or not. Interactive, again, that means that you would be good at this, and therefore you're able to see that there is a lot of job put into making this presentation interactive. That means you would be valuing interactivity there. So I can see that voting has stopped so far, so I will show you the results. So we have emotional connection with the audience, charisma of the speaker and presenter, so that most probably would be the winner. And the next top would be the visualization, so on. So my question to you, where is Q&A here? Where is answering the questions? We came here today to the point of the pain point, right? How to answer difficult questions. Somehow we do not evaluate as a first initial thing that a high quality presentation is or not about dealing with the questions. Most probably because in our culture, we either give the most time to present and less time to Q&A, and therefore we're subconsciously, culturally cutting the Q&A from the existence. We're just not giving it enough time, room, or space, which from the facilitation point of view would seem like, why then we have seen this presentation if we cannot discuss it, right? Or from agile point or from lean point, right? So if we cannot discuss this, what was the point of watching it? Yeah, if it's not only the informative presentation. So that again tells us a lot about what we see and what we value. This might be an interesting idea if participants go through catharsis. I hope that not every presentation gives you the catharsis, right? And in this case, because if you're having, for example, a panel from 9 a.m. to 7 a.m., or if you're a manager or an angel who needs to seed the money, well, that might be very energy consuming. But in the end, if this is a specific one that you want to be remembered, that would be a great thing. So as per the questions, so here is a case from an executive. I would not put the name here, but still, the person says, okay, yeah, the presentation skills. Yes, we had the presentation skills in university. I've been presenting for years now, I know my slides. I've prepared the data. I know my numbers. On top of the numbers, that means that, you know, I know everything by heart, and I can tell I'm in the context. I've practiced my anecdotes, which is normally considered to be a part of the storytelling. Anecdotes in English means the situations rather than something funny, right? So the anecdotes from life, cases, and so on, but I don't look forward to the Q&A. So in this case, it's really important to hear why. And then when I ask why, the person says, I don't know what people are going to ask. So I worry I won't have a good answer to the questions. Or worse, I'm that scared that I'll say something dumb or lose face. So you can see that when a person is prepared, that means that format is done. On top of the numbers, that means the data is done, right? Practice the anecdotes, how this is all done. So those 4 parts that we prepared in the beginning in my first questions, that's fun, that's covered. When I ask what then bothers you about Q&A, here we have completely different subset of things. So the person actually, as we understood, is lacking this human-centered approach to themselves. I don't know, that means uncertainty, that means scared, that means that unpredictability. So I don't know what people are going to ask. So therefore, how to make this work? Try to know what people will be asking. Even if you're preparing several questions or eliciting them or asking the peers to ask you questions, you will be much more prepared. You at least will be knowing what would be the first initial reaction. The second thing, so I worry. How do we deal with the worriness? How do we load the dopamine levels again, right? So we try to be better prepared, more self-aware, more conscious, and putting ourselves there. Then I won't have a good answer to their questions. So this is a question about preparation and about expectation. So again, this is the expectation management problem. Or even worse, that scared. Okay, now we're again talking about being that scared. It is another pandemics. That's something that will happen that I don't know. Just come with the idea that there definitely will happen something that you don't know of. Just take this moment for yourself and say, yeah, I don't know the questions. I've prepared some, but I'm not scared. There will be a question that I am not prepared for. So what you can say in this, the biggest scare to be seen as dumb, stupid, or not knowing the numbers, or not being prepared, and so on. Again, this is all the scares. You have the tactics to deal with each of those scares. The only question is, how much time do we invest to get prepared to do this? And this is again because we didn't ask ourselves before the preparation of the presentation how not to. What is I in there? The last thing about losing face is much more interesting because this is a very intercultural thing, because in different cultures, losing face means different things. Losing face means that people are scared that they might be laughed at, or they might lose trust, or they might lose the relationship. So that is a much bigger thing, what the culture sees as okay. Now we're living in the world of, innovative, trying to deal with everything on lean, agile, and so on. So there should be a culture of making mistakes. There should be a culture of, trying to be supportive and so on. So then it is a question why you're that scared, that the audience is hostile, the audience is, aiming at you. So maybe there is a question that you need to solve about this before. So now I want to breathe. Yeah, right. Agree here. Katerina says, it's terrible that the information during the presentation is less valued than the entertainment of the audience. That heavily depends on the domain, on the sphere, and what is seen as emotional connection and then formulated as entertainment in the audience. That could be another misunderstanding. So there should be thinking about, yeah, sometimes we need to entertain, right? But sometimes it's inappropriate. And then it is much more important to see the context where this is going to be happening or would not be appreciated. The third part of our workshop, I want everybody to join, those who can, those who want, because this is a question that will rule our third part of the workshop this way or another. So if you see a pain point for yourself, please try to tell us about it on this slide, because I will choose 3 situations from this list to go through them. And that will only depend whether or not you're answering, which one you would be willing to go. So on this slide, you have question, what was the most challenging to you personally? Try to think about your own experiences when you had to answer difficult questions, either during the presentation or after. So here you have a list of the situations, actually 8 of them, right? And what you do, you just try to rate which of those were the most challenging to you. So what was your experience? What of those experiences did you have to deal with? Maybe you didn't know what to answer. So again, then the level of the hormones in your blood just goes beyond the, the sky level. And this is a question when we need to react when we are in the not optimal state of, physical state, right? If you didn't quite understand the question and then most probably started saying something that was not related to the question, that might be quite an awkward situation as well. If you didn't feel you were the right person to answer this question and you started answering them, that could also lead to a situation that might be important to look at. If that was an emotionally loaded question, right? So that might be very difficult to do. If this is a hostile and angry question, if this is a provocative question, manipulative, and you know that this is a manipulative question, and what you've got in your head is just like, why now? Why me? Why this is tolerated? So basically you're thinking to defend rather than to try to deal with the situation. Wanted to address this question later. That means just being interrupted, might be that way. Question echoes what's already been explained. Another problem that you need to keep on repeating. That means the audience was not engaged or was somewhere else watching the Facebook feed or whatever it is that people just get. Question is clearly irrelevant to the meeting, might be also very difficult to do. And if you felt that it would take too much time to answer right now, which makes it like it's not worth answering this at the moment. We have 5 minutes left, but if I do not answer this question, what will happen? Or this question needs to be answered, but we do not have the capacity. So that might be as well very awkward and hormone-based, just load to deal with. So what unites all of these things is that when you go to the presentation course, communication course, is that you are armed in a good course, of course, to deal with all of those things. So that means that you're practiced, you're trained, you know the tactics, you know the verbalization, you know the strategies. In other cases, people feel a bit lost, sometimes betrayed, sometimes, just start digging themselves for being or not being able to answer this. And this is where, again, our first idea of getting prepared to the presentation plays a role. So psychologically, when you answer why you are answering this, might be helpful. So we have the biggest question. I didn't know, right? No, this one. Yeah, I didn't know what to answer. So 7.6% of all the people, or was it not percent, but their scale here said that that was a thing too that we need to address today. Okay, so this is something that we will start with. Then here we have, I didn't quite understand the question. So obviously we need to understand what to do in this case. And the third, like all of the others are much lower. So maybe we can just focus on these two in detail for today. But I want to say about these things. So even if this is a rare case, this still might be happening. And then most probably you would need a personal coaching or consulting how to deal with this. Try to think how you can, where can you find the tactics to deal with those. So basically we will then focus today on these two questions, how I didn't know what to answer and I didn't quite understand the question. So I want your help now again. I want the expertise in the room to work for the good in the room. So when you had the situation, I didn't know what to answer to a question during or after the presentation. So what did you do? What did you say? Okay, we're here at the communication workshop. So we already said about what we feel, how we sense, and so on. Let's try to focus on what we say. Just try to come back to the situation of yourself, of those people who presented when you witnessed the situation, and try to think what was said that helped to deal with the situation. So what were the phrases? So what do you normally say when you don't know what to answer? What would be the phrase that would help you in this case? Yeah, I'll give you the strategies. So the first strategy is, well, it's okay to say that you need something to check, to confirm, to research, to update, to ask, to consult. It's okay. We need to understand that the data changes very quickly. The everyday workload changes very quickly. Sometimes we really need to bring the best idea. So if you want to bring the integrity of this, it's okay. There should be the culture in your company, and you can be the role model for this culture in the company to say that you need to check and come back later and write an email, write a message, and so on. So it should be a good idea to use diplomatic language, right? What is this? Using the softeners, right? The softeners. When you are trying to say, well, actually, right? Or to be honest, or to apparently, or as far as I know, all those phrases that give you the moment to come down, but also that give the emotional connection to the person who asks. right? What else it can be? Using the modal verbs. So when you say we need to, we can do. So try to use it in a more milder version. It could take more time, right? Or you can say, it would be so helpful if we have more time. If you could also try to write the ideas that I'm saying out loud, which would be good in your context, could you please do this right now? So try to think of those ideas that I'm voicing right now, how you can make them the sentences that help you in this case, okay? So what you can say, like, actually, it would need to have more time to confirm, to research, and come back to you later. You can also use the rephrasing of a negative sentence. How to use this? This is a communication tactics. When you say, I can't deliver the goods on time. Well, that sounds rough. That sounds defensive. So what you can do is you can try to rephrase the negative sentence, right? You can say, well, I'm not in position to say when the goods would be delivered, right? Or I won't be able to have the report ready by then, or I won't have the data confirmed. I will come back to you as soon as it is confirmed, and so on. What else you can say? Using quantifiers, minimizers. It's not actually that big. It's not actually that massive. That would be actually quite good, a bit better, and so on. So you can try to use those phrases to answer what you don't know as an idea, right? What else you can say? You can first of all say, well, that's a good question, but I'm afraid I don't have that information in hand, right? So we have only 15 minutes presentation, so I'm not having all the data, but I would be happy to send you this data via email, or you can find this data in the latest report, and so on. So you would be saying the phrase, I'll find out that for you, and I'll send it to you, right? Or you can find it here and there. You can also check, I'll need to check to be correct, or in order to be correct, I will need to check the latest update with our sales team, for example, and get back on you with the freshest numbers, so that people understand that it is so important, that it is integral for you, and coming back to you. So, but this might take a bit more time. And then you can say, would that work for you, right? So you can ask a question so that the person nods or agrees with this. So I need time for checking, clarifying, and after I can continue to discuss it if it's still actual for you. So thank you, Oksana. This is exactly the phrase what you can try to, that follows the strategy. If that's still actual for you, would that be still working for you? And I would probably end here with a question mark so that the person in the audience just nodded and you problem solved. Or you can just try to have the audience energy agreeing on this going down. Polina wrote, I don't know the answer right now. So what you can say here, you can use those strategy and add here the softeners. You can say, actually, apparently, or I'm afraid, right? I don't know the answer right now, but I'll come back to you shortly, right? Iran wrote, give some interest facts on your topic. Sometimes it might be difficult to give interesting facts on the topic when you don't know what to answer. So then it might be a idea that can work, but also can not work. And then you need to take risks. When you feel that you're under attack emotionally, sometimes we make the decisions that are not best for us. So maybe you need to be very careful about adding the interesting facts when you don't know the answer for it. So what Ina answered, it's very good question. Thank you. Good job. So you're thanking to the person, and you're actually agreeing. So that's a good question, right? So that's a good observation, right? So you can say, thank you for being attentive, or thank you for following, right? So that you bring the value to the person who is asking the question rather than devaluating this. And you pushed our team to investigate this more deeply. Yeah, so you can say that thanks to you, right? Again, so you can say thank you, thanks to you. We will investigate this even deeper, or for example, even quicker to find the answer. If the presentation to the team, it's okay to say you need something to check, yeah. But if it is public presentation trying to answer and I do not know how, you can then say, the question, like if this is a public presentation and you don't know how to answer the question, well, then say, one, it's better to actually discuss this question in a smaller talk or in a much more detailed discussion. Or you can say, just like facilitators say, I think this question, this topic, this issue might need a separate space and time to get most of the attention, or to get the attention it deserves. You don't have to answer all the questions. You need to show that you're able to deal with them and to deal with yourself while dealing with the difficult questions. Juliana wrote, let's think about this together. Right, to make a kind of brainstorming. Right, so this is another facilitation technique when you're trying to bring the topic or the issue at the center of the question, at the center of the discussion. If you have, for example, a small room, right? So what else you can say? You can say, let's think about this together. Let's try to find a solution. Let's try to come up with the possible outcomes of this. Let's have a special meeting. Let's have an extra meeting, and trying to formulate something like, does anybody else see how this could be solved? So that you invite more people in the audience, if this is appropriate, if this is a small group. What else you can say? When you say commenting on the question, right? So interesting question, good point, good reasoning, good observation, great observation, and so on. So try to give this thank you, pat on the back to the person who is asking. And if you don't know, well, how to answer, there is the golden rule, almost a meme, when you are, for example, defending your thesis and somebody asks something, that you don't know how to answer. You say, thank you very much for taking my focus to this. I will definitely make this my next research point or meeting or topic, right? I will investigate it even deeper. You have any answers in the chat, but if you return to answer later, it's important to take a mail of the person, right? Of course, that is important to have the contact and so on. Sometimes actually people say, if you could give me, or if you can put into the chat your mail, I will come back to you later. And I will come back to you with the detailed report. Right. Let's do the next one. When you didn't quite understand the question, right? When the question requires clarification, what do you say normally? What do you see people who are good presenters saying about it? Let's try to focus and try to understand what can be formulate it in this way. Yeah, could you please write what normally you say that I didn't quite understand the question? Yeah, ask to clarify, right, but in which phrase? So let's now share the phrases which would give you an opportunity to clarify this, which would be your shield that you can learn in this case. Rephrase the question and ask if you for a correction if needed. Yeah, could you get, this is still the tactics. Could you give the phrase? Could you please describe? Could you please describe the context, the situation? So what, right? So could you please describe this in a more detailed way, please? Right. What you can say here, Oksana, is that you can comment on, it seems that in your context, that might be a bit different. Could you please describe it in more detail so that I could give you a better answer, right? You can say also, it seems that, so in order to give a more detailed answer, could you please describe it a bit deeper, a bit more detailed, right? I don't quite understand what you're asking. So this phrase could be translated as I didn't quite get what you're asking, right? Would be grateful if you can elaborate. I would be grateful, right? I would be grateful if you could, and then you can use the modal verbs to make it softer, right? To elaborate on this, right, Ina? Let me reconfirm my understanding of your question. You asked me about this, this, and this. Yeah, did I get it right? Right, did I get it right? Don't afraid to say, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. I'm sorry, I didn't quite get to this. And you can say, could you run that again? Could you run that? Could you run that by me again, you can say? Could you paraphrase that for me, please? What else can you say? Let me summarize your question to be sure that I understood that correctly. Yeah, so that could be a good phrase. You want to know about something, long-term impact for your company, for your industry, right? Okay, and then you can continue. What's the goal of your question might be quite defensive. So if you didn't understand the question and then you're just, attacking the person, that might bring the whole room to this, hormones boost, and that might be turning the audience hostile. So that might be not the best thing to do when you're just, attacking on the question. In order to actually understand the goal of the question, you could probably say, that's interesting. Can you say why that bothers you right now? You see, so this is the very same idea, but you have completely different communication tactics for this. That's interesting. Can you tell, can you say why this is important right now? Or what can I clarify here at the moment? Right, so this is something that could be formulated. Any other phrases? So you can say, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that very clearly, right? Or if you could probably paraphrase it for me. Or if you could give more context and more understanding. so that I get more understanding for it. And yeah, so you can comment like, that's a great question. That's very interesting way of seeing it. Could you elaborate on that as well? Okay, so we have 15 minutes left for it. There are also the questions that are better answered by another person. There are also questions that most probably you can formulate and delegate to answer, right? And you can say probably as well on when you didn't quite understand something that I'm trying to get to your point. I'm trying to get your point. Could you help me to see what you mean by saying something, right? Could you help me to understand what you mean by saying, and then repeat what you didn't understand? What else you can do? Trying to paraphrase, right? You can say, so to put it differently, you're saying that there were issues with the suppliers, is that right? Right, also you can use the intonation to follow this. Another phrase that you can use maybe could be, if I follow you correctly, what you mean is that we'll do something, right? So in this case, that could be a good way to bring those ideas together. So for a longer course or for a longer time, you could try to think about all of those strategies for yourselves when you don't know what to answer, when you didn't quite understand that, the question that echoes and so on. So my suggestion would be to have a set of phrases and tactics that you are prepared to answer in any point. So to get yourself those phrases that are not just only possible, but also comfortable for you to talk about, comfortable to bring in, comfortable to get ready with, right? So that you're on top of this, so they are on top of your fingers. So tell me, please, what specific changes do you think you're going to make by the next time you present? So what from today's workshop you can do as a specific change in this way? So what can bring your Q&A to another level? Let's summarize a little bit. A list of possible questions and answers. It's good to brainstorm them. It's also to peer, to bag them from your peers. Might be a good idea, right? Try to guess questions and prepare answers, right? Being more diplomatic, right? Maybe we could do a little bit of ways how to make our communication a bit softer, a bit more embracing and more comfortable, right? To manage emotions in order to be confident. Emotions management, personal management, self-management comes from self-awareness. And when you're writing this in the as an outcome, that means that, you know, your self-awareness rose, that this should be taken to think about myself. That's a good outcome of this. Remembering about myself when presenting. Okay, good. Do you think there are any other answers? What specific changes? Maybe you can do something very specific that will do your Q&A session a tiny little bit, but better, stronger, and more comfortable. Think in advance about possible questions and how to answer them, right? To work on building confidence before presentation. Lovely, great. Are there any other questions than a comment for you today? Tell me, please. Is there some kind of a question that's been bothering you? I want to give you the space and opportunity to ask your question. You can type it here. If there are other questions, I can comment on you for you. You can also use the chat in the Zoom. How to react emotionally loaded. Yeah, if you go to emotionally loaded, give me a second, I will show you the slide for this. If you go to emotionally loaded or sensitive question, you have several strategies to do this. Normally, this is the validation. So normally the facilitators have the skill, they are trained. Maybe you can try to also read more about the validation techniques, which means saying out loud that that's an emotionally loaded question. With a neutral and calmer tone, you can say, well, I can see that there is some kind of emotion, right? And you can say, oh, I can see that this is a frustrating question to you or frustrating topic for you, right? And as well, you can say something about that might be very frustrating to hear. So basically, you're validating that this is a normal question, the normal emotion here, right? So this way, you're loading, you're taking the emotion down and inviting to talk about it. The second suggestion could be offer a solution, what can be done in this case, or create a space to find it. Maybe we could get another meeting. Maybe I can talk to you after the presentation. Maybe you would want to discuss this so that we could find a solution together. By showing empathy, you can say, I can see, I can feel, or even better to say, it seems, it feels, it appears that this question triggers you, that this is an emotional question, that this is a sensitive question. So basically, the whole answer would be something like, wow, that must be very, and then you say which feeling, that must be very frustrating or sensitive or, I don't know, emotional. One option would be to arrange a meeting and then try to offer what solution you want to say so that we can discuss this issue together and find out the solution that is most appropriate. How does that sound to you? So always try after validation solution, try to offer this, an ability to agree. Try to answer the question, to ask the question, which is a yes/no question in a way that you might expect the yes answer. I hope that was helpful to you. And do we have any more questions here? Yeah, good. Here we are. How to become more charismatic. There is a quick and long answer to this. So if you want to have a quick and funny and humor way, that would be just grow the charisma. Just try to challenge yourself and try to challenge yourself in a safe environment which is not hostile, right? So that you are having your comfort zone, tiny little step out, but still you're ready to come back to retreat to the comfort zone. So that those small ideas and ways to go are, are seen. And then try to, the long answer would be, of course, to get a personal coach or a little bit of support in, self-development. So everything that is about charisma is about self-development. Top 3 strange sensitive questions that you already have in your practice. Many sessions at least we need to have in order to be confident. Anna says, in order to be confident, you need to have as many sessions as will require your own self to become confident. That could be 1, 2, 3, 15, 5, 50, 500. That's a question. What doesn't let you to become confident? Sometimes this is a very small little thing that you can just solve. Sometimes there should be much more work done, specifically by the person who needs to become confident. So this is always self-work. So this is personal development thing, I think. Okay, so we have 4 more minutes. I will answer one more question. Where can I try to use new interactive points for my presentation? Can you share any sites or apps? Here you are, you have the slides, which I'm using like almost every day, so that the presentation becomes interactive, so that the presentation is involving your expertise, and I'm answering the question of your own group. So you can see that because you voted a number of times, I built my presentation so that I could give the content depending on what you would have voted for. So I would definitely recommend that. And the last tiny bit for us, the last 3 minutes, could you tell me how your participation would see for you today? How do you think it was an engaging for you as a workshop? How many or how important were the takeaways that you can take? Do you feel readier to practice further at your own work environment? And tell me if you want to learn more of that. Meanwhile, in the comments, Julia recommends to read the book The Charisma Myth, Master the Art of Personal Magnetism by Olivia Cabane. A lot of practical advices. Right, this is a very good book as well. However, everything that we're talking about, personal charisma, personal skills, personal attitude, always grows from personal work and from personal development. So how much do you feed yourself with the attention to what you can improve? And therefore the charisma grows proportionally. Okay, so let's see. Important takeaways: engage in workshop, ready to practice further at work, want to learn more. So, Irina, we have 83% of people who are ready to vote, who want to learn more about the communication skills and presentation skills and so on. So I think I will finalize this workshop for you. It was my extreme pleasure to be here and to be helpful and to see your expertise and your experiences. You can see that there is a lot of things to go further on, and this is something that I would definitely invite you to do. Irina, the floor is back yours.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Julia. Thank you, everybody that you joined. It was not a typical format. That's why I suppose sometimes it was like louding. Some people were trying to join, because most of the times this is more like lecture. I suppose that not everybody was ready for the interactive variant, but still it's great, because you need to loud yourself and to be to take part, very active, and that is very good. because you like waking up. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody that joined us today, and everybody who participated, because it's very important. I suppose if we can, maybe we can like manage information and some main strategies how to answer difficult questions we can give. Yeah, maybe. Like
they are all in the discussion, so we try to formulate them. So this is something that
or maybe loud from AHA slides if it is possible. Okay.
We'll try to do that.
Okay. Okay, everybody, then have a nice day, and although it is not very sunny, but it will be, and be careful, please. And see you on our next events, our next lectures. Bye. Have a great day.